This pub behind me may be familiar to some of you. I'm on Bow Street, and that's the Bow Street Tavern, but this pub frontage was actually used in a very famous film, especially to Londoners. Now, if you're a fan of cinema, you might be into your Alfred Hitchcock, in which case you might recognise this pub from the film Frenzy, which was filmed in the 1970s. Now, at the time it was called The Globe, and if you remember the film, it was called The Globe when the characters actually walk in, but the inside was actually filmed in Pinewood Studios because the pub's interior wasn't large enough for the scenes to be filmed. Today though, the pub actually still does look a lot like it did at the time, as well as multiple other properties just round the corner. So we're now in the Nell Drury in Covent Garden, and this is where Dick Blaney, after he gets the sack, comes to have his final brandy. And you might remember, he comes up to the bar, he orders a brandy, and he goes and sits over in the corner. But before he goes and sits in the corner, he becomes quite irate that his brandy isn't big enough. And he says, "I'll make it a large, I said make it a large." And you see him go into his wallet, and that's why he's so angry, because he knows it's his last drink, and he goes through his wallet and you see there's just one little note there, and it's quite nostalgic because it reminds me of a time before bank cards. Everyone in the film was actually dealing in cash, and this is the spot where he got handed the brandy glass before he sort of skulks off over there, and then two accountant types standing at the bar talking about the necktie murderer. So you can still actually walk into several of the pubs and sites where the film was shot, including where the actual murderer was supposed to have lived. Now, interestingly, you can actually still see the parking bays that were once used by the lorries during the time that Hitchcock was filming. And this is where Bob Rusk came out of 3 Henrietta Street, which, if you just turn around for me, please, you'll see it there. I'll show you the window in just a second where he looked out of. And this is where he first dumped the body, and then he's gone inside and realised that his pin was missing, and he had to come back out and jump in. But if you come over here for me, please, come around here, come around this way. You can see the parking spaces are still actually here. So he'd have been about here, the van. So if you come over here for me, please, you'll actually be able to see the window then without the brollies blocking it. So for those that have seen the film, you remember the famous image of him looking out of the window just up there. And then he lays back down and realises, oh no, my pin's missing. And you know what happens after that.